Welcome back. Roads are among the most important infrastructure assets as they facilitate, influence, and can act as indicator of sustainable economic development. Recently, Otjozondjupa Governor James Uerikua expressed disappointment over delays in road infrastructure due to the slow pace and lack of finance. For more on this and other developments in the region, the Governor, James Uerikua, joins us on the line. Very good morning to you, sir, and thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, how are you and dear listeners of the Republic of Namibia?
Doing great, thank you so much. Governor, let's start off with the road network in Otjozondjupa region that one may say is connecting the others. What is the improvement now in terms of what you expressed a few weeks back in terms of the slow progress in terms of completing this road?
Yes, thank you very much. We had prioritized a number of roads in our region because, first of all, our belief is that roads are enablers. Roads are the key enablers to socio-economic advancement and, of course, regional growth and, by extension, national growth. Namibia has been recognized as a country with best roads infrastructure in Namibia for 5 consecutive years, and, of course, 23rd in the whole world. That speaks volumes. Now, alone as a regional leadership, we said we also need to prioritize a number of roads in our region that we think are a key priority. First of all, we said the road from Okahanja to Okonjatu, that is now on the B1 road. As you depart Okahanja, you find Oakveld Road, just 10 kilos outside Okahanja. That is a road that we said need to be prioritized because it's an economic road in which you find Okoruthu mine, mining seriously with trucks, moving cargo, everything else there. You find a feedlot that is more than 4,000 heads of cattle that are moving there, being brought to an abattoir in Okahanja, which is beef core, and of course meat core as well. You have farmers in those areas that are moving on a daily basis. So the volume of traffic in that area, it's so high that it actually requires that there should be traffic, an upgrade of the roads infrastructure. Secondly, the aim was also to decongest the B1 road in terms of the accident rate. And the key thing was that for people that are going to Grootfontein, eventually to Katima and so forth, I don't believe that they need to be able to drive all the way to come through Chivarongo, Otavi, and eventually and go to Grootfontein. No. What is important is that we need to decongest the road by diverting the traffic for it to go through Okonjatu. And eventually that way also you are developing Okonjatu to become a growth point. And that traffic can be diverted and you decongest the road. So that is road number one. And that road, as we are talking now, it still has to go to design. It was never designed. And this request was done 12 years ago, by the way. So 3 weeks ago when we had a consultative meeting with a consultant from Roads Authority who met us to say that they came to relook into our road priority, I asked a question. What happened to the priorities that were submitted 12 years ago? Nothing was done. So if you say that have our priorities changed, at least if you say that you have done your part, and then you say the priorities have changed, that's a different story. So now we have to resort back and resubmit them roads, so that didn't set well with the leadership, and especially the communities that are affected. Another road is the one from Grootfontein to Chumkwe. That road is a serious road where Chumkwe is lagging behind in terms of development because the roads infrastructure is terrible. Investors are actually hesitant to go and put up investment opportunities in that area. And of course, access of that community to the mainstream economical activities that are taking place in the center is a challenge. Not to talk of the number of accidents that are taking place. We already submitted this. Detailed design was done. The first road was presented to us in 2021 by Roads Authority. And then we expected thereafter that at least in portions there can be some work of some sort that will start. So we realized that in the strategic plan of Roads Authority that we launched in 2022, we saw that road there as well. But up to now, no action is done. So we have been meeting the Roads Authority to reiterate our position that these roads are indeed critical priorities. The other road is when you talk of a road from Okakarara to Okonjatu and Okakarara to Koblenz, these roads have to be upgraded from gravel to high standard low volume seal. That is important because the amount of traffic and the movement, and in fact, rainy situations in that area affect everything else. And then finally also it is the issue of the branching of roads. where you find that roads that goes in certain areas like Gam, it is only that one road from Chumkwe. It passes go to ASEP and to Epukiro. No other road branches into the villages, and there are more than 40 villages. So all these villages are just accessible with what you call 2S4 route, created by the farmers when they drive themselves. So we submitted for proclamation. That was done. As we are talking now, we are pushing Roads Authority to really be able to do something as far as this roads is concerned. So that was our cry, and it was premised on the reality of what we see on the ground, that roads infrastructure really need to be given attention.
Now, is Road Authority at least given an indication of when they will act on this issues that you have raised?
We haven't yet received any finite answer as far as when and what. We were just informed, of course, that this will go for bidding, especially the Okanja Road. A consultant must be sought. The consultant must be sought, of which this consultant would eventually now be the one to start the process.
Governor, issue has at times been taken with the drought relief distribution, and it was attributed to the lack of transport. How has that issue been solved, or is it still ongoing?
Yes, the issue of distribution of drought, we had a visitation by the Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable John Mutoro. We raised it up, and the issue is attributed to the lack of transportation within the system, whereby you only have one truck that must distribute food in a region of around 220,000 people, and the beneficiaries are around 690 households actually. So now the same truck drops in Chumkwe, it comes back, it must fill the warehouse in Chumkwe, it must also go to Omatako and go do the same. So in the process, Okakara, Hotfontein, Otavi, Chivarongo, Kaufeld, all these areas are left unattended. That added to the delay in that distribution. And then we spoke to the Deputy Prime Minister. Deputy Prime Minister, being pragmatic, indicated that the procurement of the vehicles or trucks should be expedited because there was a need. There was a need for us to be able to source externally that these people should be able to come on board and they should be allowed. Because the challenge was that the procurement didn't allow actually for one to fast track the process. Now it was opened up, the advertisement was supposed to be running, and now we were just waiting for this advertisement to be running for it to actually allow the PMU, which is a procurement management unit within the region, to bring in private trucks and people with vehicles that are able to assist. So that process has been receiving serious attention. And I must add that it is the same process that also affected the marginalized or the Sun Community Feeding Program, which was only having 4 pickups that should be carrying food to feed 5,750 households throughout the entire region. So that issue also affected the flow of food. And I think it's an issue that is receiving serious attention because we spoke about joining the 2 programs for them to complement one another so that when the truck is going out, it is taking commodities for all the 2 programs as opposed to one and one only.
Governor, if you may, you touched a bit on the bureaucratic red tape, and especially at the time when we have declared a state of emergency due to the ongoing drought. What are your thoughts around, cutting some of that bureaucratic red tape to ensure that the services and the goods that are being distributed by the government get to the people that are in need in these dire times?
I wanted to get the essence of the question at that last, but my network was losing.
I'm saying, how much of a challenge is bureaucratic red tape, especially in times of this nature when we have declared a state of emergency?
Yeah, in terms of the bureaucratic red tape, I must really say we haven't experienced, in terms of the bureaucracy, any hindering factor whatsoever. What we have experienced is that it was only the transportation issue that became an issue. But everything else, when you look at the coordination, the accountability in terms of stock taking, the accountability in terms of the stock received, vis-a-vis the issuance, there is a voucher that you get. And of course, when you take from whatever destination, when you take from the main warehouse to the intended destination, when you come on the other side, obviously that is already, the official on the other side will be able to account for that. And they will be able to say, no, A and B have been put in place. And as a result, this is accounted for. We haven't experienced so far any instance where we would record any loss or maybe any maladministration as far as the stock is concerned, as far as the bureaucratic process of administration is concerned. The only thing that is a drawback, it was a challenge of transport. But I must also say, in the same vein, we also pick it up from the community that the commodity that you give to the community sometimes, they also tend, because when you, especially the marginalized community program, because they get only once per quarter. But now we have revised that they will get every month. But by then, some of the bags, because they were excess, they were finding themselves in various cooker shops. And their food is taken and then further repackaged into small 1 kg, 2 kg bags and sold on the shelf, which is something that we spoke against. And we said to the police or any community member, if something like this is discovered, they need to report immediately for us to take action.
Governor, we know that the Otjozondjupa region is also heavily dependent on farming, with a lot of commercial farms and also subsistence farmers also in that region. Amidst this drought, how would you describe the situation, and how is your office, together with central government, helping to address the issues that they're facing now?
Yeah, the situation is critical on the ground. As you know, that dominantly Otjozondjupa region is a livestock farming area. We talk of a total of 796,000 livestock that are finding themselves in this region. Now, farmers at the initial point were really on very, very serious commitment to get off stock before the condition deteriorates. But we also came to realize that the prices at the markets were not too good. But as I'm talking today, as I'm talking to you now, the prices are doing very good. They have picked up, and really farmers are, to those that still want to get rid of their stock, they are doing so, but the challenge is that the condition is not at its best. In terms of grazing, there is no grazing in the region at all. You see the desperation of, through innovation and creativity, individuals became entrepreneurs along the road, cutting grass and piling it up there for farmers to go by and buy it. But look at the rate at which this grass is actually getting finished. Even you as a farmer, when you're looking for bales of grass, you go around, you barely find them. The day before yesterday I was at Accra, and a bale of grass goes for $204. Initially, in any normal circumstance, you find the same for $75. So the price equally, when demand increases, of course, supply decreases, but of course, the prices increases. So the demand is very high, the supply is very low, the price eventually goes up. So that is exactly what we're finding ourselves. Not every farmer is able to do that. That's why the government of the Republic of Namibia directed that the Ministry of Agriculture subsidize farmers. So when a farmer is buying these bales, there is a subsidy that comes from the Ministry of Agriculture in the form of $100 per bale, and then the farmer can add or top up the remaining amount. That is actually to alleviate pressure or reduce pressure from farmers as far as financial injection is concerned. And to add to it also, the water situation is very tough, whereby the areas that have grazing, there where you cannot reach. There is grazing, but there is no water. Where you have water, there is no grazing. Now, the responsibility of government is to make sure that water actually gets to those areas. That's why today government have went into a program of drilling a number of boreholes, equipping them to make sure that we assist the farmers so that they can be able to move to higher grounds where there is water. But that also comes with its own challenges, because everybody now is demanding their borehole to be relooked into, to be rehabilitated and so forth. As the saying goes, never allow crisis to go to waste. So they're trying their level best to also capitalize on this. But I think government is really doing its part, even supplementing leaks and all that. But really the situation is tough. We're hoping for good rains. And God's willing, we heard a report that said eventually, sooner than later, meteorological services are saying we're going to receive average to above average rainfall. So we are optimistic, and we're looking forward to that.
All right. The day before yesterday, I believe, we spoke to the Okakarara Constituency Councillor, Ramana Mushavikwa, and he was upbeat about the future plans for that constituency in terms of the allocation of about 200 plots. But we understand that they are also part of the Otjozondjupa region, in Okahanja in particular, where the land issue has become a very contentious one. But what is the overall picture right now in Otjozondjupa, and as far as addressing the land issue is concerned, and what are some of the hurdles that you'd like to highlight?
You might be aware that we launched back in 2021 a program called Accelerated Land Delivery, Now, this program was under the Ministry of Urban and Rural Development, and also it included a security of tenure process. It's a deliberate program in which we said, let's shorten the processes and time frame that is employed in terms of an applicant applying for land and eventually to the successful allocation of that very plot. Within a period of 3 weeks in Okahanja, we were able to supply it a Kunde number 5, 274 ervens, not 294 ervens, and at the Kunde number 4, 276 ervens. Now, today as you pass on, as you are driving back to Windhoek on your right, you see those many corrugated iron sheets houses that are there. Those are temporary structures of ervens that were allocated to individuals, and some of them went ahead to get loans and start to construct. So those are some of the efforts. When you talk to an area like Grootfontein, we have been fast-tracking the process of land allocation, in which an excess of 1,300 ervens have been given out. And of course, they have another 2,000 ervens that are still to be given out, and the processes are completed. Most of these things are submitted to the minister for approval. Upon return from the minister, the municipalities can act. When you talk of Okakarara is growing, and of course, Okakarara now has petitions in various zones. There are growth points, such as Palmway, where they are saying this is our upmarket area, and the aim of a municipality of Okakarara is to make sure that they give out enough land as possible to make sure that the residents and the investors eventually can be taking part and participating in economic development endeavors. But that doesn't come without its own challenges. There are individuals also, because of politics, my brother. You know that this year is a political year. We have been seeing a number of, I would say, strikes that are pushing councillors as far as land delivery is concerned. But the interesting part is that for the past 2-3 years, it has subsided. When you are coming to politics, during a political year, then you see some of these things cropping up. But I always say to the leadership, remain focused and deliver service. Do not be in any way distracted by anything else. Do everything according to the book. The people's interest must be first. Focus on ensuring that you deliver services per the expectation. And of course, anything else beyond that, if it gets political, we cannot get in that space. Otjivarongo now have been doing a lot of coming up with a lot of new structures. You know that there is a construction of the single quarters, the construction of Freedom Park and all these things, triple P arrangements that are put in place. So as far as land delivery in the region, we are really doing our level best. Kalkveld is a new growth point, and you know that settlements such as Kalkveld, Pombat, Gam, Chumkwe, these are new settlements that we're trying to push up. When you look at all these settlements, the councillors are working around the clock to make sure the land is available in those areas for allocation to people. And finally, land is not only about residential. Most of the people are also looking land for agricultural purposes in urban areas. That's what we call urban agriculture. Here in Otjivarongo, the municipality have availed camp number 3 that is partitioned into 50 plots, and then these 50 plots, each one of them with 50 hectares, will be advertised for interested people to apply so that they can do peri-urban and urban agriculture with the aim of producing food for subsistence and, of course, for commercial purposes. That goes to all the municipalities in the region as well.
Lastly, on a positive note, one of the exciting developments in the region is the Biomass Industrial Park. Tell us about the status of the plant and what it means, not only for the Otjozondjupa region, but also for the country as a whole, and how will it contribute to the national economy?
Thank you very much. Biomass is the in-sync. The biomass industry is the key industry at this point in time. They are all running in parallel with the green hydrogen, renewable energy. Those are the industries in which we are moving, because at the end, it is about how we can maintain our environment, that it can be able to commercially develop us, but also to sustainably utilize our environment for it to carry us for centuries and centuries to come. The Ministry of Trade and Industry, with the support from Finnish government, have been in partnership whereby a biomass industry hub is created here in Otjivarongo, just at the roadblock. When you check before you approach the roadblock to Otavi, on your right there is a factory put up there. It is well equipped. Everything else has been delivered. What is going to happen there is that the Ministry of Trade and Industry is going to get private operators who will be running that very process. And the aim is to produce wood pellets, wood vinegar, charcoal, and all these things that are actually in high demand as far as the European market is concerned, and also other producers. So this biomass industry is a key industry. This project is at an advanced stage now. We hosted the minister last month, in which she came, Honorable Lucia Ipumbu, in which she came to assess the readiness of the facility. And on top of that also, we came to look at the equipments that were installed, and some of them were actually rehabilitated and renewed and serviced. And of course, we did a trial run in which you can tell that everything is functional and operating. What is now left is that the Minister of Trade is busy perfecting the plans to make sure that an operator is sourced, and this operator will eventually be able to come and commence this project. It is going to have a high employment rate in which the locals will be employed because it involves a lot of physical labor as well, where bushes have to be cut, they are brought to the site for processing, they are run through the machinery, and of course all these things are produced. It is not a first of its kind because there are also other investors in their private capacity who are doing that. But the aim is for government to create a partnership with the private sector to make sure that these become beneficiary and eventually for the general people to benefit. Also in the same project, the municipality of Otjozondjupa is highly involved because with IFAS is actually a renewable energy specialized university based in Losheim, that is in Germany. We also visited them and went to do some presentation. Those are the experts who came up with a number of things, including our wastewater treatment management plan, where we got 30 million investment from the African Development Bank through the municipality of Otjozondjupa. All these projects are aimed at complementing the renewable energy drive, decarbonization, and also the issue of dealing with global warming. So we also had our 5th Biomass Industry Conference. It just took place last month here in Otjozondjupa. Out of the 5 conferences that they have done, 3 of them placed here in Otjozondjupa. And it actually attracted all sorts of participants, both locally and internationally. It was a key conference. And I think as Namibian nation, especially with our encroachment, bush encroachment in Otjozondjupa being the key threat to livestock grazing, it is an ideal selection for Otjozondjupa or Otjozondjupa to be spearheading the biomass industry, and also for the biomass industry, the industrial hub, to be placed here in Otjozondjupa, the center, and eventually all farmers can be able to bring their enclosure bush that they have cut for them to be processed and eventually converted into economic value.
Before we part ways with you, Governor, what is your closing message for those who seek investment opportunities in the region? And if you may, maybe, what are some of those critical areas of where you would want to see people putting their money in?
What I say to investors, both domestically and globally, Otjozondjupa region and of course the whole Republic of Namibia, we command a high amount of peace and stability, with political reputation that indicates that we are predictable and we're stable as a country. Otjozondjupa region being the 4th largest in the country, with a population of 220,811 Namibians, with a geographical size of 105,540 square kilometers. We have a good 7 constituencies, 9 settlements. And when you look at our vegetation and everything else, it's indicative of an pro-agricultural region. And of course, key investment areas, it includes mining, where we already have 6 mines. And of late, if I have to go deep a bit into the mines, of late, B2 Gold have done the new discovery, in which one of them was the Antelope discovery. Under the Antelope, there is an Oryx discovery. It's a new it's a new discovery that they have done, in which they projected that there is a deposit also of some really heavy investment that they are going to look into, with a grade of around 1.77 gram per ton. So that's serious quality that is being produced from gold. We have manganese in the region. We have Kanyande graphite, which is actually specializing in lime and so forth for cement production. We have a Horongo cement. We have a Korusu. So one must really look into the investment into the mining sector. You come to the agricultural sector, dominantly being the livestock sector. We are exporting. All our animals are being sealed here in Otjozondjupa, certified by veterinary services, compliant with all the EU standards, and they can be exported at any time because we command one of the best livestock practices and systems in place. You go on to the crop sector. We have the maize triangle. Though the rain haven't been doing too good with the last rainfall, we only receive around maximum 580 millimeter per annum. But we are looking at our golden triangle to say that our golden triangle is a key enabler as far as food stability is concerned. We need to invest in that agricultural area so that we can be able to produce enough for our own consumption and eventually for export purposes. You can also invest in tourism opportunities in our region. Our region commands one of the biggest lodges. We are the only region with a FMD-free buffalo that is based at Waterberg. We are a region that is having we have a big crocodile farm here where you can come and have fun and be able to expose yourself to all this. We have Mount Echo. Historically, Mount Echo, it is where the treaty, the declaration of peace was signed after the Kwito-Kodavale battle. Otavi, we have Korab. Korab is where the peace treaty between the English and the Afrikaners war was signed, when actually the English were defeated by the Boer regime. That's where in 1909 a peace treaty was signed, and in 1920 a shrine was built there. So when you look at the peace treaties that liberated Namibia, they were signed right here in the Otjozondjupa region, one at Korab back in 1909, and of course this one here in at Mount Echo. If I have to expand on a lot of investment opportunity, we command good road infrastructure, and of course we have a good population. We are a transit to 9 other regions. We are also a transit of cargo all the way from Northern Africa to the harbour, where you can be able to carry your cargo. We have good rail infrastructure over the train that moves here every day. Municipalities having plans to upgrade our airstrip here in Chiwarongo. So these are some of the investment opportunities. You can put up an industrial hub. You can put up a logistic hub, a dry port hub, and all these things. We are in a position to be able to attract investment. And please, investors, come and invest in the Otjozondjupa region. You will not go wrong. Come and invest in Namibia, because Namibia is on a march towards unity in diversity, natural resource beneficiation, youth empowerment for sustainable development. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Governor Uerikua, for your time and that very vital update, but all the things that are happening in your region. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So obliged. That was the Governor of Otjozondjupa region, James Uerikua, giving us, or rather bringing us up to speed about all the developments and also the challenges that are faced in his region, but also talking about the investment opportunities and what it has to offer for anyone that feels like they want to spend their money in the Otjozondjupa region. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.